2024 Honda ZR-V VTILX Review. The top-spec petrol ZR-V offers a lot of bang for buck in today's market, though its turbocharged engine can get a little thirsty in town. Pros: nice Goldilocks sizing, practical rear seat. Plenty of features, performance for the money. Dirt cheap servicing for 5 years. Cons: thirsty in town, no stop/start. Small boot for the segment. No sunroof or AWD available. At the time Honda was in its heyday, often touted as Japan's rival to the Germans, renowned for high-quality, tech-laden, and well-mannered vehicles. I was left a little uninspired by the brand's more recent offerings, namely the previous generation Civic and CR-V. Where the Hondas of old were built like bank vaults with well-rounded dynamics, later cars have felt lacking in several areas, despite offering excellent handling and steering feel. That's all changing in front of our eyes. Honda has been busy reinventing itself and getting back to its roots, as proven by the excellent new Civic and HR-V. Now we have a new nameplate in the mix, the Honda ZR-V. Slotting between the HR-V and CR-V, the ZR-V is effectively a Civic on stilts and pitches itself as a new sporty offering in the midsize SUV segment, though it's at the smaller end of the class like the top-selling Mazda CX-5. But with no nameplate legacy, entering Australia's hottest new vehicle segment is no easy task. Many will know Honda, but few will know what a ZR-V is. On test we have the Honda ZR-V VTILX, the most expensive petrol variant that seems like sharp value in today's market at under $50,000 drive away. Is it a new top pick? How much does the Honda ZR-V VTILX cost? The second from top ZR-V VTILX is priced at $48,500 drive away. Honda offers fixed drive away national pricing. It's the most expensive turbo petrol-powered ZR-V variant in Australia, sitting $5,300 above the mid-spec VTIL and $6,400 below the top-spec EHEV LX hybrid. In the context of competitors, the ZR-V VTILX sits in the same bracket as low or mid-spec midsize SUVs as well as high-spec small SUVs. Two key rivals are the aforementioned Mazda CX-5 and the Nissan Qashqai. Learn more. The Mazda can be had in G25 Touring AWD trim for just over $49,000 drive away, while the Nissan Qashqai Ti is a little dearer than the Honda at $51,919 drive away based on a Victorian postcode. You could also cross-shop the ZR-V with the Skoda Karoq, from $43,990 D/A. Larger alternatives for similar money include the Hyundai Tucson Elite 1.6T AWD, $44,150, Kia Sportage SX Plus 1.6T AWD, $43,850, and the Toyota RAV4 GXL 2WD Hybrid, $45,260. Honda ZR-V pricing. Honda ZR-V VTIX, $40,200. Honda ZR-V VTIL, $43,200. Honda ZR-V VTILX, $48,500. Honda ZR-V EHEV LX, $54,900. What is the Honda ZR-V VTILX like on the inside? Like pretty much every other new Honda, and I'm not complaining. The Japanese brand has a really strong identity with its latest range, meaning if you sit in a Civic, ZR-V, HR-V, or new CR-V, you're going to immediately feel a sense of familiarity. Build quality and tactility is up there with some of the best, with heaps of soft touch surfaces and padded, stitched leather and extended trim accents. This is Honda's new SUV flagship in Japan, and it feels it in here. The VTILX grade brings luxury features like powered and heated front seats, a heated steering wheel, embedded satellite navigation for the 9.0-inch touchscreen infotainment system, and a thumping 12-speaker Bose sound system. We'll get into features in a bit, but the range of powered adjustment for the driver and the comfortable front chairs mean you can find a good driving position easily and feel supported on longer drives. I will note the seats are fairly low, which makes the ZR-V feel more car-like, something to consider if you're after a more commanding SUV view out. Ahead of the driver is a 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster which is standard across the ZR-V lineup. It's nice and simple and has cute graphics and animations. The little virtual ZR-V mirrors your lights and indicators, but it doesn't have the breadth of configurability of some rival displays. The 9.0-inch touchscreen infotainment system gets navigation in this specification, bolstering the existing wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Unlike Honda's older cars, which were running software that looked like Windows 98, the new system feels bespoke and is fully featured, right down to the factory navigation. Response and load times are good, and the overall user interface is very clean and easy to use. Honda Connect is standard across the range, with a 5-year complimentary subscription included with purchase. It offers a range of services that are accessible via a smartphone app, incorporating convenience and safety functions. Highlights include Remote functions. Climate control preconditioning. Lights on/off. Remote lock/lock. Automatic collision detection. Speed alert. Vehicle status. Emergency call. Virtual dashboard. Location finder. Trip log. Geofence alert. Push notifications and messages. Storage up front is up there with the best in the class, with a slew of smart solutions to stow your things. The bridge-type center console has a little cubby under the electric park brake, and the shelf ahead of the shifter has a wireless phone charger pad. Big bins in the doors can accommodate larger bottles, and there's a cubby under the front center armrest that's also handy for hiding things out of sight. I'm also a big fan of the solid, clicky feel of all the switchgear and dials, which feels really high-end. In particular, the knurled climate control knobs are a tactile delight, and remind me of Audi units. The rear seat is pretty good, which is expected given this shares its DNA with the Civic hatchback. While not as outright capacious as much larger rivals like the Mitsubishi Outlander and Nissan X-Trail, the ZR-V offers good head, knee, and leg room for taller occupants, like me at 6'1", even behind my own driving position. 2 adults will be more than happy back there, while the skinny center seat means a third occupant will be a little short-changed. At least there's an almost flat floor in the rear which frees up more foot and toe room. Further, the middle seat also gets a ceiling-mounted seat belt which seems a little old hat for a new car in 2023. The outboard seats also have ISOFIX anchors, while all 3 rear positions have top tether points. Amenities in the rear include directional air vents behind the console, map pockets behind the front seats, bottle holders in the doors, as well as a fold-down center armrest with cup holders. Perhaps the ZR-V's only real drawback against competitors in the segment is its below-average luggage capacity, which at 370 liters, VDA, in VTILX specification is down on even something like the Mazda CX-5, 438L. Note, VTIX and VTIL grades score 10L extra. Drop the seats down and you get 1302L 1312L, VTILX VDX/L, which is more substantial and competitive with rivals. Further, the already wide and square space is bolstered by a well-designed flat load bay, though no magic seats, for those asking. Petrol, VTI, versions of the ZR-V all come with a 17-inch space-saver spare wheel, compared to the EHEV hybrid's tire repair kit. What's under the bonnet? Petrol versions of the Honda ZR-V are powered by a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. Shared with the Civic, the VTEC turbo unit produces 131 kilowatts, 6,000 RPM, and 240 nanometers, 1700-4500 RPM, with all versions in Australia sending drive to the front wheels via a CVT automatic with paddles. AWD is available overseas in markets like Japan. Honda quotes combined fuel consumption of 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers in this specification, with CO2 emissions rated at 175 g/km. Despite being homologated to Euro 6b emission standards, local ZR-V models miss out on idle stop/start. The ZR-V can take 91 RON regular unleaded fuel in its 57-liter fuel tank. How does the Honda ZR-V VTILX drive? Like a Civic SUV. With turbo power and a CVT automatic, the ZR-V has plenty of pep for everyday driving, and is deceptively quick in a straight line for the class. It doesn't quite feel as tight and tied down as its hatchback sibling, appearing to focus instead more on everyday comfort and refinement, and for the most part it really delivers. The driver controls are responsive and accurate, inspiring confidence whether you're pottering around town or cruising on the freeway, and the hunkered down stance really helps that feeling of security at high speeds. Driven sedately in town, progress is effortless and there's little intrusion of engine noise into the cabin compared to rev-happy naturally aspirated competition. Honda CVT doesn't really simulate the steps of a conventional automatic unless you're going full throttle, so it can sound a little slurry or drony in normal driving. Even on its bigger wheels compared to the entry VTIX variant, the ZR-V rides with aplomb. There's good suspension travel to iron out the lumps and bumps of city streets, and the body is well controlled through successive undulations. There's a slight slapping feel over sharper hits, but it's far from unrefined or unresolved. I was very impressed with the ride, which doesn't really sacrifice handling capability. There's a bit more body roll than the Civic given its softer tune and raised ride height, but the ZR-V is definitely more adept at taking a corner than something like an X-Trail. Road noise remains a weaker spot for most Hondas, though the latest cars have definitely improved over previous generations. Tire roar is present but not overbearing on course roads, and driven back-to-back with a Mazda CX-5 G25 Max Sport as well as the ZR-V VTIX the week prior, the LX felt noisier with its 225/55 Yokohama Advan tires. Wind noise, meanwhile, is well suppressed, no doubt helped by the ZR-V's slinky profile and skinny mirrors relative to some other midsize SUVs. The ZR-V is also fully equipped with Honda sensing assistance technologies pretty much across the lineup. Adaptive cruise control with low-speed follow and an active lane centering function facilitate semi-autonomous highway driving, though as I've found with Hondas in the past it can be a little too conservative with vehicles entering your lane ahead, and it shadow braked a few times without warning, which was quite frustrating. It's otherwise well sorted in traffic jams, and the lane centering function didn't feel like it was wrestling the wheel out of my hands. Proper blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert are also pluses, as I was not a fan of Honda's undercooked lane watch cameras system. I do lament the lack of idle stop-start tech, however, which leaves the ZR-V idling and sipping away in traffic. It meant that, unlike the Civic, fuel consumption ballooned around town into the 9.0s and nearly 10 L per 100 kilometers, more on real-world consumption further down. ZR-V VTIX highlights. Adaptive LED headlights. Active cornering lights. 17-inch alloy wheels. Rain-sensing wipers. Hill descent control. 9.0-inch touchscreen infotainment system. Wireless Apple CarPlay. Wired Android Auto. 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster. 8-speaker sound system. Black fabric upholstery. Dual-zone climate control. Auto-dimming rear-view mirror. Leather-wrapped steering wheel and shifter. Upholstered center console with French stitching. Front USB ports, 1x USB-A and 1x USB-C. Rear USB ports, 2x USB-C. Rear air vents. Space saver spare wheel. 60/40 split/fold rear seats.